Okay, hello everyone. Thanks for joining our webinar today. If you have any questions during the session, please submit them via the Q&A button at the top of the interface. Those questions will be answered at the very end. This webinar will be recorded and you'll receive a copy of it delivered to your email account. Now, I hope you enjoy, and I'll now hand you over to our expert, Harald Kjølberg, Senior Product Manager at the Cube Company. Over to you, Harald.
Thank you, and hello to everyone. This is a webinar stating desktop is not dead, so it's a bold statement, and hopefully we'll be able to justify that as well. So my name is Harald, and I'm in the Cube Company, a product manager for application development, and I'm based in Oslo, Norway. So with that, let's get started. So let's just have a brief history of applications, starting with the old-fashioned machines back in the days and going back to the current day. What has happened? So basically, desktop applications had this monopoly for a very long time, starting out using simple command line interfaces. I'm not sure if we could call it desktop applications back then, but it's basically a single-use application that you run on a machine dedicated for that. And then, of course, we had more advanced things like Windows, and the modern age started to kick in. And then, of course, something happened. We had the internet. Well, the internet had been around for a while, but suddenly the internet was something everyone had. And we saw that simple web applications using Perl, PHP, the server-side scripts kind of popped up and made our life just a little easier. And the next step that would kind of make like a small toll gate or something like that would be when everyone got these smart telephones, carrying them around. We got the mobile applications, and this is when we see the change from desktop applications. We tend to be using more stuff we can carry around with us. And the last step, of course, is then when everything became cloud connected, everything happens in the cloud. We see online applications and software as a service, and this is really the age we are in today, and makes us think, hey, what happens to the traditional desktop application? Is it dead, or is it something that will keep on living for many years to come? So the next question is, why isn't everything online and in the cloud if this is what we tend to use? Well, there are, of course, certain reasons for that, and privacy and security are things that people tend to mention when they are asked why do you prefer using your desktop applications. But of course, we feel a bit safer when we have our data and our applications stored locally on our machine. Even though this is, of course, a very complicated matter, security updates of applications that you have on your computer tend to be slower than what you see on a hosted service. But again, it's also something what we feel as humans. Reliability and stability of applications. Yeah, of course, most of the cloud services today, they have backups, they have redundancy, so basically you don't have any problems there. But of course it can happen. But between the hosted service and your computer, there will always be a network, and that will introduce some certain possibilities for instability and loss of connection, etc. And regulations and certifications, that is sometimes, or at least that's two parts of the same coin. Some industries will for sure not allow applications to be run in a hosted service. For instance, control systems for power plants, etc. And there are also certifications that actually prevents software from being hosted elsewhere than where the actual thing is needed. For developers and users, ease of access is always key. If your application is easily accessible, it is also easier for users to use it. And also the visibility of your application. The visibility of an application in the cloud is, of course, then you need to do marketing, you need to make it visible all the time. And the menu bar or the docking bar or a desktop shortcut, it's actually a really, really convenient marketing place for your application. And it's shown that desktop applications tend to to give habitual use of your application. So it's easier for us users to actually start the application when we have them locally on our work desktop. There are also this with a preference for most people that has a desktop and use that in their everyday work, they will tend to use the desktop applications, even though there is an online option as well. And offline, well, sometimes we just are offline. We don't have access to the internet. It's not everywhere at the moment, and it could be, if it is available, it can be too slow or with too much latency, etc. For instance, if you're going on a plane, there's more and more Wi-Fi covering inside planes today, but I don't think a lot of applications will benefit from that kind of connection. And at the end, it's also about the simple things that we experience every day. For instance, using Alt-Tab to change between your different applications, it's very convenient. And also using the notification systems in the platforms to notify the users that something is happening in this application. For instance, the bouncing thing in Mac OS or the blinky icon in Windows platforms. So basically, online and desktop are kind of complementary today. There has been a lot of competition. We saw that more and more applications were moved to the cloud. Sorry, and that will probably continue. We will see more and more online or hosted services and applications, but it also seems to have leveled out, and sometimes you also see that some a slight increase in the use of desktop applications again. So this is something that we've seen happen with many applications, that they start out as an online option, but as the user groups grow, as it's adopted more and more, it's also ported to an actual desktop application. And there's different use cases, kind of dictates different versions of the applications. You will have an online version, you will have the desktop version, or even mobile versions. And this is all about the software providers that will cater to the user's different needs and use cases. So what is Qt for desktops and what can Qt do for desktops? Basically, Qt for application development is one of our products, and this is the product that I'm in charge of. That's basically the Qt framework, which gives you a high-level productive C++ APIs to develop cross-platform applications for the major desktop operating systems, so Windows, Linux, Mac OS, and also Android and iOS. And how does this fit into the general Qt product structure? Well, it's at the bottom. Doesn't mean that it's the least value for sure, but it's at the bottom, it's the foundation for everything else we do in our company. And on top of that, we have something called Qt for device creation, and this is the embedded part. I guess you have seen a lot of talk about embedded things on our web pages, etc. And these two together constitutes our baseline products. And on top of that, we also have different verticals. Not necessarily products as such, but of course it's solutions for the different verticals. And currently we have the medical, the automotive, and automation verticals. And for all of these different products and solutions, we get some user input, some requests for features, etc. And this comes directly to the different baseline products for sure, but we also get a lot through the different verticals. And this is interesting because from the different verticals, we also see that basically what happens if we are asked for something special there, it ends up trickling down to our different baseline products. And eventually it will bring value also for desktop use. So Qt powers still a lot of the leading software on desktop today. These numbers are looking great, of course, and this is not only for desktop application, but in general, there are more than 1 million developers using Qt today, both open source and commercial. The majority is probably open source, and 8 out of 10 Fortune 500 company uses Qt. So Qt has been around for a while. It's been around in the 90s, so it's a mature technology, and there's a trust based in Qt around the world. And even though we see that Qt use in general increases a lot, and most of it is from the embedded market. That is not a secret, but still we see that the commercial desktop use grows at about 10% every year. So even for desktops, we see that Qt is used more and more often. So in Qt, we have a few different types of user interface technologies. And of course, Qt widgets, that's the most mature technology we have around. That was how Qt started out. And these are basically the classic user interface elements for desktop style applications, giving you the native look, giving you styles and layouts, enabling you to create those business application that really fits into the native desktop, being either Windows or Mac OS or Linux. It kind of looks like something that is made for that particular platform. And this is used by 77% of our developers on desktop development. So meaning this is the most used user interface technology in Qt today. It is slightly decreasing every year, but with the rate of decrease we see today, it will be 2030 before we are down to 10% use. So Qt widgets is definitely a very used technology, and it is also something that will be around for the years to come. So Qt widgets, they are not done and they are not dead. The more modern addition is, of course, QML. QML is a language infrastructure and a rendering engine, allowing you to create those more fluent and rich user interfaces that we like today, where animations and transitions effects are first-class citizens. So you can do those things we as users tend to like. It feels very modern. It feels very kind of dynamic and fluid. And apart from that, there's also a predefined set of controls like buttons, sliders, etc., and switches, so you can easily create your applications. But of course, then you can create your own components and build and enhance those, and basically do whatever you want to using the QML solution. For QML, this is currently used by 42 desktop development users. So we also see that this is steadily increasing more and more every year. And we also see that the QML and Qt Quick, that's kind of deployed more and more to desktops as well. Bringing us over to this question here about widgets or Qt Quick, what should you use for desktops? We get that question very often. We will probably look into doing a separate session for just that topic. But today I will just look into the different pieces, and it's really a complicated question. You need to consider a lot of different aspects. Are you targeting only desktops, or would you also like to deploy your application for mobile? If you are only going for desktops, maybe widgets will be the way to go. But of course, then again, if the size and the complexity of the application is quite small, you have a small, simple application like OneDrive, for instance, that's an example made with QML, then you could use that instead. And of course, if you want your application to be more fluid and not necessarily look like a native application for the platform, Spotify could be an example of that. And then again, QML might be a good solution. The different type of user interaction types, for instance, mouse or keyboard, is that the main way of interaction, or will there also be touches, gestures, etc.? Again, the traditional ways will kind of suggest widgets, while more touch and gestures will point in the direction of using QML. So just to also emphasize that Qt is so much more than just a user interface framework. It's very easy to get the impression that Qt is just for making the user interface. When you see our web pages and our marketing, and only when you start looking into our documentation, you will see that, hey, Qt is so much more. So basically, Qt is a set of modules allowing you to create a whole application cross-platform. So you don't have to do any changes. If you are accessing files, Qt takes care of that. If you're accessing SQL, then Qt will take care of that as well. In addition to that, there's of course a set of tools, Qt Creator being the IDE for Qt, but also tools allowing you to do localization and languages translations very easily, profiling your performance, etc. So this is really this is really a complete package for deploying, for developing and deploying applications for cross-platform. So what's been going on recently that we can say has had a benefit also for desktop applications? That would first and foremost be the code quality. So 5.12 is the latest long-term supported release. And compared to 5.6, there's been more than 5,000 bugs fixed and 29,000 commits. So there's also been a lot of different and new features in the same period of time. We will never be bug-free, and I think no software ever is bug-free. But of course, we are working steadily and using a lot of time of keeping bugs away from you, so you don't have to get into trouble because of bugs in the Qt framework. We're also doing a lot on tooling, platforms, and languages. So Qt Creator, it's the IDE for Qt. It's been around for years. It's general, it's getting a lot of good feedback. A lot of C++ developers prefer to use Qt Creator. But we also get feedback saying that, hey, it's a bit hard for us to find the different features. The features are there, but it may not be that easy to find. And we are trying to do something with that, making Qt Creator more accessible for beginners as well, giving you examples, relevant examples, tutorials, making it easier to get on board and start to use Qt Creator. For the other points here, I have separate slides, so I will go to those. Qt for Python is really nothing new. The PySide module's been around since Qt 4, allowing you to use Qt from Python and then develop Python-based applications using Qt as well. But with Qt for Python, we have kind of taken charge of that module and make sure that this is part of the Qt for Application product, and we will keep it alive and continuously develop this and add value for Python developers. We basically see that there are two really good use cases here. The first is very obvious, of course. You can develop applications using Python and Qt together, and then that will give you a very fast turnaround time for your development. But we also see that more and more users are using Python to prototype applications, because Python, you can do things really fast. You don't have to wait around for compilation or stuff. You can just do it. And when you have the desired functionality, you can port it to C++ afterwards. We also have in the Qt for Python package, we also have a tool called Shiboken. That's what we are using internally to generate the bindings between Qt and Python. And this tool can be used to create bindings to Python from any C++ library, actually. So this is something you can use if you have a C++ library you would like to make available for Python applications. Then you can use the Shiboken generator. So Qt for WebAssembly is something we regard as a new platform. And this was released as a tech preview, meaning that it's not fully supported. We may change it a bit from 5.12, but it will be fully supported module from 5.13. So Qt for WebAssembly is basically a technology that allows you to run run software in the browser, in the sandbox in the browser. It is supported by all the big browsers today, so Chrome, Firefox, Safari, etc. They are kind of investing into this as well. And of course, the value here for Qt users is that if you build your application for a desktop, you can also quite easily compile it down to the WebAssembly package and make it available as an online application. If you want to try this out and see more about it, you can go to the Qt blog and search for WebAssembly. You will find some really nice examples showcasing this, where we have just taken very simple Qt applications, compile them to WebAssembly, and made them available for you to look at. And then at last, the Design Studio, which is one of our newest additions on the tooling side. The Qt Design Studio is really all about trying to close the gap between designers and developers. And this can also be very useful for desktop if you are creating QML applications. This unfortunately does not support widgets. This is more into the QML kind of thinking where everything is fluent and customized. Basically, what you get is the Photoshop bridge, allowing the designers to export their designs from Photoshop, so they can make them look really nice there. They can export them and import them into the Design Studio, where they can actually make these into functional user interfaces based on QML code. You can do timeline-based animations. You can also do changes in the code, export it, and see how that kind of affects the visuals. Of course, there's component recycling, so all the assets are turned into QML that can be reused in different projects. Dynamic layouts and customizable visual effects is, of course, there. Another great thing is that you can do a live preview of your user interface, so you can actually see how this looks, either on the device, the mobile phone, or on your desktop. And you can tune and make this really fast, really much faster into a great application. And for the Qt widgets part, this is also a story where we are doing more maintenance than new thinking. And the idea is to convey the message here is that we are doing a lot of maintenance. We are actively doing fixes for widgets as well. We also, sorry, we also have done some smaller API additions and rewritten accessibility support on Windows. And also printing on Linux was something that we introduced with 5.11. So it may not be the really huge steps forward, but we are also looking into those bigger steps as well. Widgets is something we get a lot of requests. People say that, hey, we would like a widget like this, we would like a widget like that. And these are things we are looking into. Everything from the smallest switch, for instance, or a circular progress bar, to more complex widgets like the ribbon bar we are familiar from Windows. We are also doing a lot for QML. So the Qt Quick controls, so the pre-made controls, we have made some API additions there. More important is probably the larger features we have introduced, being ECMAScript. So in QML, you can use JavaScript to create functionality. And before 5.12 version of Qt, the supported version was ECMAScript 5, but this has been stepped up to ECMAScript 7. It's not the latest ECMAScript standard, but this is really what you need to use all the modern features of JavaScript. Qt Quick Input Handlers, this is something that was previously known as Qt Pointer Handlers, but I think as developers you also know that this is something that can easily be mistaken. What is a pointer? Is it the thing you are doing with your finger, or is it the thing you are doing in the program? So we renamed them to input handlers instead, kind of giving a better understanding of what it is. And these are handlers that allows you to very easily handle input events like pinches, dragging, flicks, etc. very easily, but also the more traditional things like keyboards and mouse clicks. We also introduced the beginning of the new table view, which is a revamped version, or actually it's a complete new component in Qt Quick that allows you to create tables with a lot of data. We have had a similar component in the Qt Quick Controls 1, but this wasn't really performing well when there was huge amounts of data. So this table view is really made for a lot of large data and without sacrificing the performance of the component. In addition, we have done a lot of improvements with performance, memory consumption, and startup time for QML-based applications. And in all, we have done a lot of enhancements in all the areas of Qt. So it's not only in those I have mentioned, it's basically in every module in the Qt framework has received attention and some love and care. And this, of course, ends up being useful for desktop applications as well. If you want to have a full list, you can, of course, go to our wiki and see what is stated under new features in Qt 5.12, and you will have the complete list of the changes done and the improvements done there. So at the end of the presentation, before we start doing the questions and answers, desktop applications are not dead. And that's something we say that not in the real world and not for Qt. So desktop applications will be around for years to come, and Qt will keep doing value or keep adding value for desktop developers as well. So Qt covers a stack from desktop to embedded, that's for sure, but desktop is a really important part of our complete offering. A lot of our users, a lot of our customers are looking for one technology they can use for all their different platforms. And of course, if we stop doing desktop, we will take away a very, very important part of that offering. So desktop is the heart and soul of Qt. It started out being desktop and it will remain that. So everything we do basically tend to end up in the desktop part. So we are doing, or we are having active discussions both internally and externally for new widgets. For those of you familiar with our bug report system, you will be able to find a lot of things going on there, not only for widgets, but also for Qt going forward. We are trying to move more and more of our work we do internally. We try to put that more visibly into the community so that it's also visible for everyone. And Qt Quick and QML, that's just another flavor for the Qt framework. It has slightly different use cases, but it's also overlapping. But it's really not a replacement for widgets. Widgets will remain for a long time. And lastly, Qt is a mature open source project. It is backed by a focused company and used by many well-known brands. So with that, I think we will have some time for questions and answers. So I will just see if I'm able to get up the questions and answer box. So yeah, good. We have a couple of questions already. So I will just get cranking on the questions. And please, if you have questions during this session as well, please let them just fill them in as we go. So from Martin saying, I would like to develop Qt-based app, which has a GUI similar to some common Microsoft apps like MS Visio, but top menu and some buttons. Can you recommend me some template or example where I can start from? That's a good question. I would say that if you're unable to find anything on our online thing that kind of suits your need, then we may not have it. But again, this sounds like you could use, if it's quite simple, Martin, you can use QML and then look into the different templates or examples we have there. And on the same examples note, this is also something we are looking into. We are looking into renewing all our examples and make those more relevant for today, so to speak. So I know that really didn't answer the question completely, but I hope it at least gave you some understanding about it. And then we have from Roland. Here, Roland, I mentioned ribbons. We are looking into the ribbons, and when they will be available, that's something we cannot say anything about now, but we are looking into that. When it comes to the ribbons, it's actually kind of a tricky thing, because we have, at the moment, we haven't received any official note from Microsoft that it's okay that we do that. The ribbon is something that is copyrighted and patented by Microsoft. So we need their kind of consent to allow or kind of make these components available on other platforms. So we are looking into it, but unfortunately I cannot say whether they will be available or not. There are third-party options solution or deploying the ribbons today. So if you search for QTitan ribbon, you will find them, but they of course have a price and are not included by what we offer. Okay, so Andreas wondering about the support for OpenGL on Apple. Yeah, Apple is also an actor we of course keep in touch with. So our graphics team, they are very much in touch with the graphics team inside Apple. So the plan is, of course, in the future that Apple will drop OpenGL and start using Metal only. And that is something we are working on. There are ongoing work with Metal for Qt. It will come. There are some fixes and some workarounds already, so allows you to use more Metal. You will find these in different Jira tickets in our bug report system. So yeah, the short answer is there will be Metal support in Qt, not in too much or too long time. Okay, questions are popping in faster, so they scroll over my screen. Sorry about that. I will just try to make this window a bit larger. Couldn't do that. So Benjamin was wondering about the possibility of mixing both Qt widgets and QML technologies into a single application. This is something you can do. We have no plans of taking that kind of feature away. So the recommendations, I'm always a bit skeptical on giving recommendations, but I think just make sure that you keep them separated, so you can actually change them independently. That will make sure that you can keep track with the development for the future. But instead of saying that I have any recommendations, I would say that I really don't have anything against mixing it. Just try to do it with some care. Okay, so I'm starting to lose track here, but that was answered. What is the future of QML table view? Will it be similar to the widget Q table view? So in general, the future of the table view is not uncertain, but of course we don't know where it will end up at the end, but we are the version that is available now, that is really the starting point. So you will, as soon as you start working with it in the current state it is now, you will see that there are some limitations. You would wish that you could do something simpler. You would wish that you could do different stuff with it, and that will come. So the more you use it, the more you see things you missed, please just report it, and we will implement changes on request, sort of speak. So this is not a done product. It will continue to evolve into the future and being a more performant solution. So let's see. Also from Max, that was a simple question. Answering or asking, will you offer a similar talk about details in your PySide 2 development? We have done a slightly different talk on the PySide 2, but of course we will do more on PySide 2 as well. So definitely just keep track on our webinars, and you will probably see that more related to PySide will come in the future there as well. Okay, so Patrick, where did you go? Your question there. So the question is, when will there be a tree view for quick controls too? Again, I'm a bit reluctant about saying when or promising anything about when it will come. This is something we are discussing internally. We are looking into it, so this will come. But how soon? If we're talking this year, hopefully. That's kind of the plans we are looking at, but it's hard to promise exactly when it will come at this moment, but it's something we are working on for sure. Okay. Where to start? So there's sorry about this, there's just so many questions, so I'm trying to find a decent way of covering them.
There was one question around recommendations for books regarding modern Qt, covering QML, for example. Do you have
Yeah, there it is from Alexander. He was on the top. He's kind of bumped down, but yeah. There are books regarding Qt and QML today. They are perhaps a bit outdated, but what I can say is that there is a Swedish guy who's written some books previously, and he's now working on an updated version of a QML book. So this will probably be, I'm not quite sure when it will be released, but there is work ongoing on that, and I guess that this will be available quite soon. And I hope that we will announce this and make some noise for it on our web pages as soon as it is available. So, okay, let's keep on going. A question from Thomas asking, is it possible to port an already made Qt widget-based application to a web app using Qt WebAssembly? And what does a user need to download in order to make the web app work? And is there any plugins necessary? So basically, WebAssembly doesn't require too many plugins. It is in the different browsers. Different browser has different support at the moment. WebAssembly is still a quite new technology, so this is continuously evolved and improved on. But back to the question, yeah, you can take an existing Qt widget-based application and compile it for Qt WebAssembly. That will basically work, but it also kind of depends on your application's nature. What is the application doing? Is it accessing a lot of different local files, etc.? Then, of course, you always need to consider that in the browser, the application is sandboxed, and there are limitations on what you can do. Currently, file access, for instance, is limited, but there are now working on solutions. We also have a solution for that using in Qt with the upcoming 5.13 release. Multi-threading is another. So, and the user kind of inactivity is something that is coming, but there are still limitations on what you can do because of the nature of the sandboxing used by WebAssembly. But in theory, you can take any Qt application and compile it down to WebAssembly, yes. And just to answer what the user need to download, that's basically a zip package containing everything you need. So there's no additional needs than what they get from the WebAssembly package. There's also a question from Javier about the possibility to use Qt widgets and QML together. I think we have answered that. Yeah, you can do that. Just don't overdo it. Try to be wise in the way you are mixing them. Okay, so a question about the installer framework, which is of course also interesting. Do you plan to work on the installer framework is a question we have from Gratien, and that is a good question. We are working on that. We are not doing too much on the installer framework as such at the moment. What we are doing is that we are looking into a completely new way of deploying the Qt framework and looking more into having a package management system for that. This is something we are looking into for kind of the next coming Qt versions. We're not sure how we can introduce it due to compatibility, etc. But we are looking into making the entire installer framework easier to use and more in sync with what we expect in 2019. I hope that answered some of that question at least. Okay. Okay, question from Roland asking whether are there any disadvantages using Qt or QML for mobile iOS Android applications? in relation to native development. So, so as I understand this, is there any disadvantages of using QML compared to doing, for instance, direct native development for that platform? Usually not. I wouldn't say there are any disadvantages. Of course, you get the advantage of being able to deploy your QML-based application to both Android and iOS without doing any changes. The startup time, the overhead is really not that large. So I wouldn't say there are any huge disadvantages with doing that, no. Okay. So from Mark, this is also an interesting question in relations to our licensing, which I know that a lot of people are looking into, are kind of concerned about. So the question is, what about licensing? For single developers with smaller projects, the paid version is not really affordable, but the open source has drawbacks. Yeah, we know that. And we are continuously looking into how we do our licensing. I think there is something we continuously do, looking at is this the correct way of going? But currently the plan is what we have. We have our commercial licensing, but for smaller developers, we also see that this is, we lose an important window for us there. So we are looking into how we can kind of close that gap and make Qt more affordable also for indie developers. And the best suggestion I have today is our startup licensing. So you can go in on our webpage and look at that. Could that be something you could use? Hopefully it could be. That will allow you to develop with commercial rights until you reach a certain amount of revenue. But apart from that, I really can't promise anything, but what I can promise is that this is something I also kind of have a passion for, and I'm working on looking into that and how we can fit the different licensing models into our general product model as such. I hope that answered some of your questions there, Mark. Okay, a new question here. Will OpenGL be supported with Qt in the future? Yeah, for a long time at least. We are looking into how we do our graphic stack. We are looking into how we can work that out and make that simpler for us as well, and also to maintain it. Currently, OpenGL is part of that, and the idea is that we can also kind of change the backends, different backends, and make an abstraction layer on top of that. So yeah, we will not remove the OpenGL support immediately. Okay. Okay. This is, of course, the possibility of opening a can of worms, to say it that way. But the question is that I've heard Qt will switch completely to CMake. Will cubes and QMake be dropped? And the simple question, or the simple answer to that question is what you have heard is correct. We are changing our build system into CMake. There's many reasons for that, and I think also we have had reactions from that, everything saying, hey, this is the right way to go. Why didn't you do it sooner? Till to the other end saying that, hey, why are you doing this? Cubes and QMake, they are really great tools. But that decision is made, and cubes and QMake will eventually be dropped. We will not remove that. It will always be part of the open source. So if someone would like to carry cubes and QMake further, that is completely possible. But we will eventually remove the support. But this will not happen overnight. It will be around for more than a year still. So what we are basically saying is that new projects should look into using CMake, while you can still use cubes and QMake for your current projects. So cubes, we will continue to also maintain them for about a year. Sorry about my inability to find the questions. It's just overwhelming and our time is running out. So let's go to Giovanni. You are on top of this now. I'm using a PHP web framework, and without being a programmer, I'm able to make interesting applications. So is Qt easy for not programmer too? It's a very good question. So Qt can of course be extremely complicated. It can be as complex as you want it. So if you're a very advanced C++ developer, you can just go to town on that. But if you stick to QML, I would say that, yeah, Qt can be really easy for people with not too much programming skill. QML as such is very simple, very easy to understand, and very intuitive. So that could perhaps be the way to go there. Hope that gave you some feedback at least, Giovanni. Okay, so Frederick, saying that he's quite used to develop my applications using QML on Qt 5.9. And is there an interest in moving to 5.12? And what are the benefits? I think I mentioned some of them, but you can also try to find our webinar on Qt 5.12. There will be a lot of details, but in general, the benefits you will get from 5.12 are some new features. You will get the table view, you will get the ECMAScript support, but you will also have a huge number of improvements, reducing memory consumption, speeding up startup times, etc. So I would say that there's definitely reasons for changing from 5.9 to 5.12, and it should really not be that hard to do the transition. So a very short question that I unfortunately have to answer with some uncertainty again. When will QML tree views be available? As previously mentioned, this is something we are working on. I don't want to promise anything about when they will be there, but they will very probably become, they will of course have a tech preview first, and then they will be made into regular products after that. But my hope is that we will see the beginning of this during this year, but currently it's too early in the process to promise anything. So I'm sorry that I cannot do that promise, but we are working on it. We are looking into that.
I think we have time for a few more.
Okay. Let's see. I'm just reading the questions. I will. That's a question. Okay, I will read it out loud and see how it goes. So this is from Manuel. From me to all panelists, he say, we are developing desktop applications and are having problems when application is running in computers with screen with quite different resolutions. What resources can you recommend we look into address this issue? I'm sure it's already being addressed, but we are beginners in Qt. So yeah, there are some definite improvements there. At the moment at hand, I really struggle to find exactly point you in a correct direction, but I will always start looking into, for instance, the mail lists, the forums, and also look into the different bug reports. Just go to bug reports, qt.io, and search for your problem. You will usually find something, and you will possibly also find a resolution for the problem. But we know that this is a tricky part, and we have seen that unfortunately there are some problems there, but we are working on also that. So I hope that gave you some pointers, Manuel. And of course, if you're having commercial license, you can always keep or contact our support as well. Oh. Okay, one last question. This is a good question. It's been lying here now for a couple of minutes, so I will take that one. It's from Miguel asking if there is any plan to have some open source Squish. And my question or answer to that question is that I really don't know. Squish is a tool that is supplied by a third party from the Qt. So this is not something the Qt company is developing. So this would be FrogLogic that will be making that decision. So I haven't heard anything about it, but it's, of course, it's always possible to contact them and ask as well. But I really don't think so, unfortunately. Do you have time for one more? Yes, one more. Okay, let's. I'm feeling bad because there's so many questions here, so I have trouble picking. But since my pointer landed there, I will go for a question from Daniel asking whether we have plans to add OpenGL acceleration for painting all Qt widgets. That is actually a very good question again. And this also goes back to how we are thinking into redoing our graphics stack. And that's work we are doing currently. And as it looks now, if we get into this mode, we get, or kind of if our IDs will be the final result, we will actually have hardware acceleration for all widgets as well. So there's really looking like this is something we actually will have. So I hope that still with some uncertainty, but I think this will be part of one of the Qt releases. It may take a while still, but it will come, yeah. Okay. Okay, thank you, Harald, and thanks everyone for great interactivity in your questions. Unfortunately, we didn't have time to answer all the questions today, but please do send us an email at info@qt.io and we'll answer them for you after the webinar. But I'd like to thank again everyone for joining, and Harald, thank you so much for your presentation. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for all the good questions as well. Yes, thank you. And wishing you all a great day, and until next time. Goodbye. Bye-bye.